I use Control4 all throughout the Techthusiasm smart home, and I have for over a decade now basically, to control essentially everything. Our home entertainment spaces like our living room and our dedicated home theater, lights, garage doors, door locks, and more. Along the way now we've been using these Halo remotes. This is the Halo Touch model, and just recently here there was a major software update, a major UI change and kind of overhaul. So the Control4 content is usually some of the most watched and most asked about content on the channel. I figured let's go ahead and give the Control4 Halo Touch here another look, kind of another overview. What's different? What do the panels look like? What does the interface look like? How does it navigate in particular? And kind of show it all since the last update here. I think it was definitely a positive improvement for the remote. I recommend Control4 quite a bit to folks looking for just the smallest individual single room controller that they can get and a Halo for their home theater setup. So without further ado, let's take a look directly here at the navigation changes and UI of the latest update for the Control4 Halo Touch. Alright, so one of the first things that we'll notice about the overhauled UI is that they really darken things up. One of the limitations, quite honestly, I think of the remote overall has been battery life. They've consistently been trying to improve the battery life, improve the length of time that the remote can stay in operation. I do expect to have to charge this thing pretty much every evening, set it on the dock, leave it on the dock, or at least every other day if it's going to go through day-to-day use. But I think darkening up the screen, going with darker colors, means less energy consumption, less energy use to show brighter colors and light up more of the screen. Our top row here tells us what room of the home we're in. Specifically right now we're in the living room. And to answer one question that I field quite a bit, yes, you can use one Halo remote essentially all throughout your house. You're able to very easily and quickly change the room that the remote is respectively considered to be in and controlling at the moment. In fact, that's what I do. I have only one of these despite having two entertainment zones within the house, and when we go use the dedicated home theater, we just grab it from the living room and change the room. I'll show how to do that in just a moment here. We can see another battery saving intent is that the screen goes dark fairly quickly after it's been set down. All we have to do is give it a jostle, give it a pickup, and it wakes back up and we see the information on the screen again. A couple of indicators at the top. There's a Wi-Fi strength indicator. This remote does communicate via Wi-Fi within your home, within your system, and enables all manner through Control4, of course, of IP-based control of your devices and your items. I try to use IP control wherever possible for my home theater devices. The battery indicator is here. It did charge overnight, and this Saturday morning here, just took it off the charger, so we have a full battery. I feel like they have lengthened the battery indicator. I don't know if that's a little bit of an easier way to show slower, quote-unquote, battery use, but in any case, the battery indicator is there. We get the time of day, 10:20 here, Saturday, January 18th, and a couple of icons down here on the bottom. We have watch, home, and listen. So there is a couple different levels of navigation through this remote. Watch and listen take us specifically to lists of devices that we may want to access within the given room that we're controlling, or let's say even a little bit less devices in more activities is maybe a better word, that we want to access within the space. So if I hit watch, I get a list of all of the devices that I've programmed and enabled in my Control4 setup to be present and visible in this room and selectable. So of course I like Apple TV as my streamer of choice. That's available at the top. I have my gaming PC, PlayStation, which actually needs to be removed, and it's worth noting at this point, the customization of the remote and the customization of kind of what you see in the rooms and what the remote presents to you is not actually done on the remote. It's a combination of Control4 Composer programming as well as specifically configuration that you set up in the mobile app using a phone, an iPad, or even a Mac or something like that in terms of what is favorited to the screen. Control4 Composer controls what's visible to the room, and favoriting things and setting the order and organization in the app is how you reflect what you see on the screen here. You see there's a little bit of a back button, so I can go back. It's actually taking me back to the room, not specifically to the home screen again. I'm going to hit this home button, the hard button, and we can go back to the remote's total home screen there. I'm actually going to take my PlayStation out. It's not in there. Then I have a Nintendo Switch. So those are the sources that I'm currently running, again, sans the PlayStation, in the room itself. Now this ... here takes me back to essentially the home view of a given room. And now we can actually see a little bit more because there's a couple more devices that are favorited to the room and accessible and able to be controlled more that are devices that we just watch. So the Apple TV, PC, PlayStation, Switch are devices that we watch. But I've also favorited things like my lighting scenes. So I have living room bright, a reading level in the room, what I call comfort, dark, and then all dark, which actually turns off lights from other rooms adjacent to the living room itself. Again, these are all just single taps now, and they would execute a specific lighting scene that was programmed in Composer. I'm going to go back here again to the home screen for the room. I have the ability to control my fireplace. It's right over there. And some of these icons as well also have some animation or different kind of state change to them. So right now the fireplace is off. If I tap the fireplace, hit it, actually, boom, it turned on. We can see the icon actually changed. My fireplace just over here to my right is now turned on. If I turn it off, make sure I tap in the right spot. Now we're back to dark, and my fireplace has been turned off. I could also point out as well, like something that I really like about the system, we get like representative icons, usually of the sources and stuff that we're using. So Apple TV has an Apple TV looking icon. The Nintendo Switch actually has the control kind of like icon there. PlayStation looks like a PlayStation, and then a PC for the PC. Now what we have here, modes. This is what we call a custom button agent. And this is how we really bring a lot of power, particularly for the Halo Touch, essentially into our rooms. So a custom button agent is a piece of programming that's defined in Composer, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability to define a set of custom buttons specifically for some type of purpose. So in here, I call this custom button agent modes, and we can have up to a handful essentially of custom buttons defined in there. In Composer, they can be added, the order can be managed, they can be custom named, and then they're basically macros. So you can program anything you want to the custom buttons. And so I have a few different things that I run in here. Game mode and video mode are macros that change my television in and out of game mode, basically, just in case I get stuck on an input, or I need to be able to manually change this mode. I can do that, and it runs open the menu, go to the right spot, hit an enter, dismiss the menu kind of thing. The other thing that I have in here for shortcuts using the custom buttons is the ability to pull up info screens. So one for just kind of general television video info, and one for the television's game bar if I want to see my frame rates and stuff like that. Now you can have multiples of these. If I had multiple custom button agents, they would be here with separate icons, and again, everything is customizable, nameable, editable, and all of that. So for example, if you're doing something in a home theater environment, you have a projector and you're using lens memories, and you want to be able to command the room or the projector to recall a bunch of different lens memories, that's a perfect use for something like a custom button agent in a home theater setup. I used to do that in my own home theater before I got the Mad VR and all of that stuff running in there. This is one of the elements kind of the navigational changes is we have this triple bar at the bottom, and in fact just by tapping on certain things, I've already kind of come into this screen a little bit. So it gives us a list view of a whole bunch of different things that we can do to effect a change either on the remote itself, or in this case we are still looking at the living room. So some of the things in this list will be context sensitive to the living room. So let's go back in there, go back to this list. Right off the bat, this is first of all how we're able to quickly kind of change the rooms. So if I show this again, from the home screen, I have to tap once, I tap twice, I hit change rooms, and now I can put the remote into a different room mode. Prior to this software version, there was actually a need to do like swiping around, and I appreciate this navigational change. I think this is a much superior navigation where we just click through buttons, we tap through buttons, rather than having to swipe, because sometimes I think swiping was a little bit imprecise, and you kind of meant to swipe, but it would actually, you run the risk, I guess, of actuating the button underneath that you actually tapped, and that's not such a great thing. So now we can see actually the theater has some different stuff here. I have different devices in the theater. There's no gaming systems, but there's my Kaleidoscape. Really cool that they use the Kaleidoscape logo again. I still have lighting scenes for this room, and I still have a modes custom button agent, but these ones are actually different. So I use this actually for the Mad VR. I can toggle motion AI on and off. I can toggle NLS on and off, and I can toggle the Mad VR tone mapping on and off if I just kind of wanted to see what it looked like. And I also have a quick access here to the test pattern options of the Mad VR. I'm actually going to let's just go back to the living room, see how easy it is again to jump back and forth between rooms. And this is why I think it's very tenable to have one remote. It's not an inexpensive remote. And in my case, right, we don't use the theater all that much. It's a secondary room. It's no big deal for me to just grab this remote out of the living room, which is usually the space that we're in anyway. When we decide, hey, let's go downstairs and use the theater, let's go downstairs and watch a movie. But I don't leave the living room stranded as well. So if anybody happened to be using the living room television at the same time that this was being used downstairs in the theater, they could just revert back to using the Apple TV remote or something, or they're probably going to be playing video games or something in the living room anyway. Let's go back to this list. So I have another way essentially here to kind of access my watch lists and my listen lists. Now here, lighting is where I have access to my scenes as well as any of the specific lighting fixtures. If I click on scenes, there's my scenes. I'm going to go back. And then here I have both the ability to tap on an icon. It actually just got dark here in the room that I'm in. I'm going to turn this back on. Or I can grab these sliders and slide them down and hit a specific dimming mode that I'm looking for. Again, we have icons that give us the specific states. So if the bulb itself is illuminated, then that we know that light is on. And if the slider is all the way to the right and lit up, that's 100% intensity. If the light is off, it's dark, and the slider is dark as well. Now there is a little bit of swipe navigation in here. The way Control4 works, of course, is I'm seeing the lighting fixtures, essentially the lighting control elements that have been enabled in Composer to be visible in this room. It doesn't necessarily mean that every one of these light fixtures is in this room, but you have the flexibility to do that within the Control4 system. And so what I do actually is not only do I have the lights of the living room available to control here, but we have kind of an open concept space. My dining room is directly adjacent to the living room with a big open wall, and the kitchen is still in the same zone. So sometimes sitting on the couch, I want to be able to, hey, I need to turn off the lights in the kitchen. Kids were in there. Of course, nobody turns off the lights when they leave a room, probably myself included, a lot of times. And we're lazy, right? First world problems. We have a smart home automation control system. Why do I want to get up and walk into the kitchen and turn off the lights when I have the power to do that in my hands with the remote control? Now, some of these options were not available when the Halo first came out as well. Things, I think, like security and the comfort settings and stuff, but they've since been added in firmware updates. So comfort allows us to be able to control, again, the things that are visible to the room in terms of comfort control. There's the fireplace switch, which was also, again, favorited to the home screen of the room for quick access to it. Very often, especially here in Michigan in wintertime, fall and whatnot, we're turning the fireplace on, and it's really nice to be able to do that from the Control4 remote itself. If you had other devices that fit under comfort, like thermostats and different things, they would fit in there. Security lets us access some of our home security elements and see their state and so on. I think in my Control4 configuration, the security pieces are kind of punched through and visible from every room. So I can see, again, all these different sensors. If I wanted to open and close my garage doors and windows and stuff like that, I would be able to do it in here. Now, when I'm hitting back, it's actually taking me back to the home screen of the room, not to that navigation list, because how essentially, I guess, they've coded the return. Same thing happened with comfort and all of that. I think I might prefer that back button be a little more context sensitive. So if I came into a setting from the list, then I would like to go back to the list instead. Modes here, again, this was that custom button agent. So in the list of all the options for the room, again, this is context sensitive to the room, I am able to see any of the custom button agents that are there. It has the same name. I can tap it, and we're getting that same interface, allowing me to click on any specifically of those custom buttons. And it may be a little faint to see, but there's an X on the bottom. That's what I'm pressing to dismiss it. Now, it was an X, not a back button. So in this case, it just closed the menu, and I was back into the list here. Settings. Now, this is more global to the remote. There are a couple of options and indications and information that come out of settings. In this case, I really like that they added this. It's pretty cool. The What's New tab here has a list essentially of any indications or status or updates and details that you may want to know. So right off the bat here, I already read these, so they were shown as unread. It says, welcome to Halo 2.0. We've made major usability improvements, refreshed icons, color schemes, and lists for easier use and faster remote performance. We've also enhanced key experiences like listens. So Again, this is the 2.0 update of this that we're talking about. Second security drop, we've added even more supported motor and relay devices to your security experiences. Again, bringing the ability to control more of the devices that you have to the Halo. Performance improvements. We've made a number of bug fixes and changes aimed at making your Halo experiences more seamless. So you can't delete them, but you can read them. That 0 in that circle right there means that I have no unread indicators. We can manage some elements of screen brightness. I generally just always leave it on adaptive. That'll control the intensity of the screen depending on the ambient light conditions around. If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to fix it, you can independently control the screen and the brightness of the keys. These are backlit keys. Really appreciate that here. Network info gives us just some general state information about the remote. We can see its IP address, its MAC address, and its firmware version as well, running here, in this case 2.0.4 and 1991. If you do have to change some of the things in regards to network connectivity and SSIDs, there's a process to go through. Some things involve, some setup of the Halo itself involves actually, again, using the mobile apps. Some involve the ability to control some of the options, essentially if you run a reset. Regulatory information is just FCC details and stuff like that. Of course, we're talking about a wireless device here, so that needs to be shown. Docking tone, this can be toggled on and off. You can see the little kind of radio button, very iPhone or Apple-esque there. That will chime a tone essentially when you put it on the charger. I do use that because I like to know, I like the audible feedback to know that, okay, it's seated on the charger correctly, and I know that it's going to charge. I do keep my charger in a closet, and a lot of times I'll kind of just open the closet up a little bit, I'll reach in there, set it down, and I'm not always necessarily looking at the screen to see if it went over into the charging. I listen for that. I like the chime. I listen for the chime. So you can turn that on or off. And then this room off confirmation. So of course the off button for a given room is on the top of the remote. I do leave this confirmation on. I prefer using the confirmations. If I press that top button, oh actually, my bad, the room itself isn't on. So let's go ahead. I'm going to turn this on. And get an idea kind of what happens here when a given device is selected. Right here next to me, my LG TV is turning on, the Apple TV, everything's kind of waking up, my Anthem STR. Now, notice the screen is black. The screen is blank here. All we have is really one button amongst all of this blank space called Home. Now, when we go into a given device, and I just was talking with somebody about this the other day, is like, how do you control what you see, say, for a given device with the Halo remote? And ultimately, you don't. You get whatever is essentially built in to the Halo driver. So I use an Apple TV IP-based driver, but the Apple TV itself doesn't really have that many controls. It doesn't have that many buttons. So the Apple TV, by and large, can be controlled by the collection of hard buttons down at the bottom. But for whatever reason, they did code a home soft button, a screen button, into this driver. And so that's what you see. If you go, you select a device, and it has specific Halo touchscreen panels that are part of its driver. That's what you'll see. If there's multiple screens, you can kind of swipe between them. If I go back to the room's home screen. But now we can kind of demonstrate this. Do I want to turn the room off? I'll press the button at the top. Turn off request. Do I want to turn off the room? If I wanted to go ahead with turning off the room, I would go ahead and hit that confirmation, and then the room would turn off, or I can dismiss it. I prefer to use it with this setting on just because you never know. You're in the theater, the remote's sitting next to you in your chair on the couch. I think this is a hard button probably to accidentally fully hit and actuate, but I'm sure sometimes it would happen. You don't want to shut everything off, I think, in the middle of a movie. So I think to me the confirmation works very nicely. So there's your deep dive on the major upgrade, Control4 Halo Remote version 2.0. I still really like this as it is. I'm pretty well committed, I would say, to Control4 at this point. Changing my home over to another option, another automation type system, would involve a lot of expense and tear up and whatnot. But I have been happy overall with the Control4 experience. I think it's powerful. I think it's cool. I love the access to Home Composer. I like the ability to set up all kinds of different programming options and elements and behaviors and stuff like that. I think they continue to invest in the whole system very well with software additions and hardware additions and whatnot. I will be upgrading my system to a Control4 Core 5 controller. I'm a little late on this upgrade. I've been running the EA5 for quite a while, but I will be making the move to the Core 5. And as I record this, we're in very early 2025. There's major Control4 software additions, upgrades, expansions, Basically a major revision of the Control4 OS coming here hopefully soon, maybe into springtime or whatnot in 2025. Rest assured, I will be here to talk about all of it, give my thoughts, give the overviews, give the deep dives, say what I think about it. I'll be an early adopter, a day one upgrader as much as I can be. As it is, even though Techthusiasm is a dealer, an integrator, or reseller for a whole bunch of home theater equipment, including a variety of Snap One brands, at the time that I record this, I am not an integrator. I am not a reseller for Control4 products. If you're looking for Control4 though, I do have friends, I have partners, I have good referrals that I can give you, especially again if you're looking, what I often get the question from folks is they're just looking for a one-room solution. They're looking to be able to automate all of the devices, the operation and stuff, whatnot, particularly of a home theater where there may be projectors, there may be video processors, right? All of these devices that needed to be command and controlled. Control4 has a pretty good offering for that. If you're interested, reach out to Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. I can put you in touch with my integrator friends and collaborators if you'd like to talk and discuss that. And who knows, maybe at some point in time, I will go ahead and do all the certifications and be able to offer at least maybe limited Control4 equipment and programming and setup and stuff directly. If you're looking for anything else though, hey, Kaleidoscape, JVC projectors, Panamorph lenses, Focal speakers, a whole bunch of other audio video brands and elements, racks, power management pieces for your racks and whatnot. Reach out to Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. Happy to talk, consult, advise, get you all set up. If you'd like to support me in other ways, hey, there's a whole bunch of general shopping affiliates down in the description. Amazon, Target, Walmart, Newegg, Best Buy, Crutchfield, Audio Advice, and more. They're all down there in the description. Please use those links if you're doing just some general online shopping there. If you would, hey, become a channel member. Love the channel members. I try to release content early to the channel members, trying to do more channel member engagement. You can join there right on YouTube, or leave a super thanks, PayPal, Venmo tip, and whatnot if you felt this was useful to you. If you'd like to deep dive, talk one-on-one a little bit more about Control4, what it may do for you, and details of setup, or you have a Control4 system and you'd like help kind of optimizing it, doing some advanced programming in Control4 Home Composer, I can help with all of that as well. Again, just reach out, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. If you have a Control4 system, particularly you have the Halo remotes, the Halo Touch here, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did you get the Halo 2.0 upgrade? I would imagine by this point in time, pretty much everybody probably has been upgraded. I've had this for at least a few weeks now. If not, I think maybe a couple of months already, so I'm a little bit late making this video. But sound off in the comments, let me know what you think. Did you find it to be an improvement? Are there any more tips and tricks and navigational elements that I might have overlooked here in this video? Leave them there for other folks to engage and discuss and learn as well. Thanks so much for watching. Coming back for more home theater, home automation and control, discussion, and fun.